But first, will you bother sending Christmas cards this year? Apparently more than half of us won't. Instead, we'll probably send a text message or just send something through social media, send an email, something like that. And the main reason, of course, being because it's just easier and it's quicker. Well, that's according to new research by a big money transfer service. But it's also become very expensive to post Christmas cards, with first-class stamps now costing 64p each. So I want to hear from you this morning whether or not you'll bother still sending Christmas cards. If you are someone that sends absolutely loads, if you've got a list of hundreds of people, and every single year you diligently send them, I'd love to hear from you. 03459 455 555. But one person who's certainly written many cards this year is etiquette consultant William Hanson. And ahead of today's programme, I spoke to him and I asked him how he manages to write so many cards every year.
I've got a very strong wrist. I start writing my Christmas cards in November because there are so many.
Do you? And who makes it onto the Hanson special list?
Well, obviously, family, friends, people I work with, quite closely, sort of work friends, and professionals like my accountant or people like that.
Does your accountant get the best card of all, or your agent?
Yes, he does. He also gets the receipt for his card.
So you can claim it back. Oh, very good.
Pop it in with the card.
Now, do you buy everyone the same card? Do you go to kind of the pop-up Christmas land on the high street and buy everyone the same card, or do you go in and choose a specific card for the hundreds of people you write to? No. I mean, you do sometimes. You see people that send, Christmas cards that say mother and father or brother or whatever. No, I buy more or less the same card for everyone. When my grandmother was alive, I used to buy a slightly more religiously looking card for her because she approved of that. But for everyone else, they get a nice sort of winter scene. Lovely. And does everyone get a personalised message, or is it very much a standard Happy Christmas, lots of love from William?
No, they more or less get a personalised message, and of course I put their name. I received a card only the other day that just had with love from X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, what's the point of sending a card if you can't be bothered to put my name? Especially as this person is actually quite a close friend as well. It's very impersonal. Just better not to send cards at all. And of course, on that, I mean, if you don't send me a card for several years in succession, you do get removed.
Oh, well, I was going to ask you. Yeah, I was going to ask you whether it's whether reciprocity is important to you. But so people will be removed after 2 or 3 years of not getting anything back.
Yes, 3 years is the cut-off.
Is that your cut-off?
And then, unless you're blood, and then you are cut off. And I have to say, this year I have cut off Jonathan Vernon Smith.
Have you? Well, see, I'm not surprised because he takes a very dim view of Christmas cards in general. I think it's a complete waste of paper. He can't be bothered, yeah.
Yes, and he supposedly says he donates money to charity. Lots of people say that, we're not sending cards this year, we'll donate money to charity. I'm not sure they ever do.
Well, why can't you do both, honestly? I'm not sure he does anyway. I'm not sure he does donate anything to charity. Mind you, I can't swear to that. And do you send one to the most important person of all? Do you send one to Her Madge by any chance?
No, I don't send one to the Queen. I send cards to a few queens, but not to the Queen.
You don't. I just wondered if you had this aspirational list of people that you'd quite like to hear back from at some point, and whether or not you'd included maybe some minor celebs at all in the hope that you can get on their list.
Well, no, I don't force Christmas cards upon anyone. If we don't know each other, we haven't been introduced, and it doesn't feel natural, then I don't send one. But the Christmas list I actually have, and it is a spreadsheet on the computer, is beautifully colour-coded as to who signs them. So whether it's my partner or I that sign them, if it's his friends or my friends, or if he just signs it and my name doesn't go in it, or I sign it and his name doesn't go in it, or whatever it happens to be. And it's a thing of beauty.
But why is it important to you to send Christmas cards? It would appear that fewer and fewer people are doing so. Why is it such an important thing for you?
Because it is telling someone in this digital age that we live in, it is something tangible, it is something personal, saying, I am thinking of you at this time, you are not forgotten, especially with some people that get cards each year, you may not have seen them as much as you would have liked to. So adding in a little note, or I got a letter actually inserted into a card that I opened on Saturday, which was really nice, of someone that I have lost contact with for various reasons over this year, but used to be incredibly close, and that has actually, made me, I sent her a message and said, let's get back in touch, let's meet up in January. And we do live in this world where everything is electronic, and it is so fleeting. And actually, to look at the Christmas cards on the mantel shelf or wherever you've put them, it is very nice. It's a comforting thing.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I don't know if you're like me. I judge my cards if they are quite cheap cards, the kind of cards that you take out the packet and you take out the envelope and you get kind of glitter everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
If I open it and it's a cheap glittery card, I'll be honest, and this goes for some of the cards that I've received from people in the office and friends that will probably be listening. If it's a cheap card, it will hit the floor by my post box. I'll pick it up, open it. If it's cheap, that'll go straight in the recycling immediately. It will not even get displayed. Does that make me a disgusting human being, or do you sympathise with me?
No, it doesn't make you disgusting at all. We had a cheap glittery card that arrived yesterday, and the Hoover had to come out immediately to get rid of everything. My late grandmother would have on her mantel shelf, she had an order. If you made it onto the mantel shelf, then that was good, but it depends how in the centre you were excellent cards. Needless to say, being the eldest grandson, mine was smack bang in the centre. She never liked my parents' cards, and theirs was always tucked behind in the far left corner of the mantel shelf.
Well, I don't blame her. I have a similar scheme at home, but I just wonder also how much this costs you, because I'm not a big card writer, although at the weekend Lady Wheeler did say to me, look, I think we need to get back into this thing of writing cards. It's really sweet. It's lovely when we receive cards from various people that we didn't expect to hear from, as we have this year. But it does cost a lot of money, particularly for you, 'cause you've written, 130-something already this year?
Yes, so far. There are a couple more I still need to do, but more or less they've all gone out. And of course then you've got the international ones, and then you've got the cost of international postage, not just domestic postage. Always second-class stamps, of course, so that's one way of saving money. That's not a Scrooge thing, but I've only put a first-class stamp on something terribly important. But although that said, sort of coming into, if you're going to send a card sort of now onwards, you might want to pop a first-class stamp on so it does get there in time.
Well, that's another thing. Firstly, have you worked out on your spreadsheet how much this is costing you? Do you have a figure at your fingertips?
For stamps alone, it cost about £80 this year.
Does it really? £80? Just to say,
Yes.
and then you've got to buy your Christmas presents on top of that. I mean, I do have sympathy with people that look at that cost and think, oh, God, I really can't be bothered. £80 before Christmas. I'm already stretched enough as it is. It must be so important to you. But the other thing I was going to ask you really is how early should you send them? Is there any kind of social etiquette to when these cards should turn up? A week before Christmas? 2 weeks before Christmas? Do you have a set time in your mind when you'd like the Hanson card to plop through someone's letterbox?
I did mine to plop last week, if they were domestic. If they were international, they went the last week of November, because they went to America, Australia, Dubai, and Dubai, the post is shocking, so I probably should have sent them in October. They probably still haven't arrived, but yes, sort of last week or early parts of this week is fine for them to arrive.
And do you have an expectation of... Obviously, people know every year now, the people that are on your list, they're going to get this card from you. It's going to be... I imagine you've got gorgeous handwriting, is that right? A beautiful kind of italic handwriting?
Well, I make do with it, yes.
So is there this feeling from your end that when the Hanson card does plop through the envelope onto the floor, do you hope that is a moment of great anticipation with a murmur of excitement in the house? Do people take your cards as being quite an important part of their Christmas preparation?
Well, I hope I'm front and centre of their mantel shelf, yes.
I'm sure you would be. Well, how many more cards have you got to write, William? 130-odd so far. Just 5 days now before Christmas. And many more to go out?
And 2 or 3, I think, actually. I mean, sometimes you have to do a sort of a reflex card if you maybe haven't sent one to somebody and you get one from them and it's all quick. Let's send them one. I always leave it a day or so it doesn't look completely reflex that we weren't going to send you one. But actually, it gets to the point where if I receive a card, maybe let's say Wednesday. I won't bother sending them one this year, but a note will be made on the list that I need to send them one for next year.
And finally, what do you make of people that don't send any cards at all? They simply can't be bothered. They'll send a text, an email, but they just can't be bothered to send any cards. It's something they've never considered doing, or they used to do and they've stopped. What do you make of these people, and would you like to take this opportunity to persuade them, perhaps, to get back into the art of letter writing and card writing?
Oh, yes, it is a nice thing. I think these people are probably just lazy. They cannot be bothered, and they are using, all sorts of excuses to get away with not doing it. Okay, you don't need to send 130, let's say, but... And maybe if you're going to send them, don't send them to family that you maybe will be seeing a lot over Christmas. But sending them out to people that you just wish to remind them that you love them, you know them, you care about them, can only be a good thing.
And if I write you one this year, will I then be added to the list, or do I have to commit to a few years of cards to you before you'd include me?
No, you would be added to the list, Timothy.
Oh,
you would be there.
That would be a really special thing. Okay, that would be a special thing. I'm going to choose you an absolute beauty from Card World Deluxe in Hitchin High Street and get it sent as quickly as possible. I really want to be on your list. It would be the greatest of excitement. Yes, Card World Deluxe. It would be a classy number.
Yes, I'm sure it would be. And, of course, make sure it's a charity card. Of course, that's the other point of sending Christmas cards. There's no point buying ones that, profits go directly to Card World Deluxe. You want to make sure that they are supporting a charity.
William, Merry Christmas to you.
Yuletide felicitations.
The wonderful William Hanson there.
This is the JVS Show
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, do you still bother sending Christmas cards, and will you be sending them this year? So we've learned this morning that about half of us are miserable individuals that can't be bothered to send Christmas cards at all. We've just stopped doing it. But have you? 03459 455 555. I'm told by my team that Paul in Boreham Wood is one of these disgustingly lazy slobs who doesn't bother sending Christmas cards anymore. Why is that, Paul?
Well, good morning, Tim. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
It's an absolute pleasure. Are you a lazy slob, or is there some great cerebral reason why you stopped doing this, Paul?
No, I'm just a lazy slob. And basically, I don't know, I just got out the fashion of it. I used to send them. 10 years ago, I probably would receive about 80 cards. This year, I've received, I think, 5, but I've sent none. And I don't give out any either.
That's quite a big drop. To go from 80-odd cards to 5, is it that you've become such a kind of a miserable person who doesn't get into the spirit of things that people just can't be bothered to send you cards anymore?
Well, that, and of course they keep dying. And
there is that.
I just need to contact most of my friends these days. I need a séance. There's no good a Christmas card.
So, that's sad. So some people have been dropping off life's twig and are no longer sending you cards. But
now that I'm retired, of course, the business people used to send me cards, and the people in showbiz and all that, they don't need me anymore, so they don't need to send me a card.
Showbiz? Did you used to get showbiz cards, Paul?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Who from?
Various people. The only one who's kept the game up is Barbara Windsor. She sends me a nice card each year.
Does she really?
She's the only one of all the old... Well, of course, a lot of them have died, but...
So Barbara Windsor still sends you a card every... And is it a personalised card, or is it one that she sends out some kind of a mail shot?
No. It's a nice personal card, and it's signed by her husband and herself, and just a little message inside it and so on. So... And so I keep those because they're nice little memories. So you
could probably sell them one day. You never know.
Well, it'll be on eBay after Christmas.
But do you still send one to her?
No.
See, I look at this a little bit, Paul, like organ donation. Bear with me. If you're not prepared to give an organ, then perhaps you shouldn't be allowed to get one yourself. And I think, really, if you don't send Christmas cards, but you do get them back, there is an imbalance here, which is just the yin and the yang of the universe are not in line. So why aren't you sending one to Babs Windsor? She sends you one every single year.
But she's got the pleasure of knowing me, so I don't need to prove that by sending a card.
Wouldn't it be nice, though, if you sent one back to her?
Well, I suppose it would be. She's trying to make me feel guilty now, isn't it? But
well, I don't know. I just think that, look, from my perspective, Paul, I've got to hold my hands up here. For the last few years, have not written any Christmas cards at all. And I get Christmas cards from colleagues at work, and I get Christmas cards from various friends. And I don't write any cards at all. I never really have done for the last few years. And yet this year, I've received cards from people that I haven't seen for a few years, and they've found my address. They've gone to the trouble of finding my address and getting in touch. And when I open that card, as long as it's not a cheap card, it does give you that little moment of kind of joy, and you think, oh, how nice that someone's thought of me. And it's such a kind of a touching thing to do that there's so much more effort that goes into it than a text message or an email. And I just wonder if William Hanson's right, that really it would be better for us all if we just sent a few cards every year just to reach out to someone that maybe you haven't seen, someone that might be a bit isolated, someone on their own. It can really give you just a little moment of warmth. Would you not agree?
Well, possibly. I think particularly this is an age-related habit. I don't find any of my friends under 40 would ever expect to receive a card from me, or do they ever send any cards. So it's my older friends who would have sent cards or still send cards, but I don't find young people think that way. They think email, they think... technically, they do it by that sort of method, just as they wouldn't write a letter. I don't think any of them have ever written a letter in their lives.
Well, I know, and it's a shame. And if I'm looking down at my handwriting now for the various notes I've been taking during the programme, this has a knock-on effect. We're becoming a generation of people who can't write letters, can't write cards. We've got awful handwriting. Is this a good or bad thing? Who can say? But so, Paul, no, you've not written a single card this year. Is that right?
Not a single card, and I won't give any out, and I don't really mind if I don't receive them.
You bad boy. Well, I still hope you have a fabulous Christmas, Paul. Thanks for your time, Paul in Boreham Wood. Let's speak to Sharon Little. She's the chief exec of the Greeting Card Association. So I'd assume, Sharon, it's in your interest for as many people as possible to be buying cards and sending cards because it's good for your members.
Or making cards. I think receiving a handmade card is a really, really lovely thing. And making cards is the #1 craft hobby in the UK.
Is it really?
Well, it is.
But surely that stops you...
We are a nation of greeting card senders in the UK. We send more cards per person than any other country. And we're going to send over 1 billion Christmas cards this year.
So actually, this doom and gloom outlook that over 50% of us now or something don't bother sending cards at all. Well, this has come from a company. I can go back a money transfer company. They've been doing this research. Lord knows who they've been speaking to. Because based on your figures, your stats and statistics, we're still very much a good nation of card senders.
Absolutely. We love cards, and I think, as you were just saying, it's that personal connection. If you want to make someone feel really, really special and cared about, you write a card to them, and I think it's in the handwriting. It's that really special thing that someone's taken some time to consider, to think about other people, to think of the recipient, to choose a card that they think will really, really, mean something to them, will connect them, and then to write a few lines. And there is something about handwriting as well, that handwriting, you're absolutely right. It'd be a terrible thing if handwriting disappeared.
Well, I think it would.
Connect to different parts of the brain.
Sharon, our time is so short this morning. William Hanson, the etiquette expert's written 130. He's got 5 or 6 more to write. In 5 seconds, how many have you written this year?
Nearly 500.
Nearly 5. Oh, 500. Sharon, thank you so amazing. I'm going to let William know. He'll be ashamed of himself, I can guarantee it. Thank you so much, Sharon Little, the chief executive of the Greeting Card Association. 500, blimey.